boxing in our country.
It really is, and this man here has been involved in some big ones here. Now, in the last round, Glenn Johnson landed that right hand kind of on the side of the head, and it, much like he did against Alan Green, and then he followed up with yet another one. And you see Froch using all of this ring. But Froch landed some very nice punches during the course of this round and threw some very good combinations, and that was an example right there of it.
Making this country. Just busy now. Come on, chin down, okay? Do you understand it? That's too close. Yeah, you've got to be sharper. Come on, mate. Come on.
Come on, let's go. Make sure you keep that water up, please. That ice.
This is the Super 6 World Boxing Classic semifinal. The winner to advance to the final to take on Andre Ward, who's sitting with us right now. It's also the WBC World title fight as well. The champion is Carl Froch in the black trunks. The challenger is Glenn Johnson in the Miami Heat trunks, who are now tied 1 apiece with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. 4th round, scheduled for 12. Glenn Johnson barely missing with that looping right hand.
Yeah, you know, when I first thought about this, the keys to victory here, I said Froch is going to have to do some lateral movement. He's going to have to turn Glenn Johnson. He's going backwards in a straight line and giving Glenn Johnson all opportunities. He's going to have to adjust his game plan if he wants to win this fight tonight.
Press row scoring. You see everybody with a 1-point win for Froch at this juncture. Mike Coppinger, USA Teak, Keith Idek from the Bergen City Record, and Ron Lewis from the Times of London. I have it a draw, actually, at this point.
And you talked to Glenn Johnson, and yesterday, Al, you talked to Glenn Johnson about his inability against fighters that are on the rise to get decisions.
He's lost very close decisions. The last time he fought for the light heavyweight title against Cloud, he lost a very close decision. He knows that that happens to him a lot, and he's going to need to take control of a fight to win it.
Meanwhile, Carl Froch, Antonio, as you always talk about, he's got incredible heart. When the fight gets tough, he will dig down deep, and you'll see some of his best work.
Oh yeah, he definitely have reserve. I mean, he's a champion, and he loves being champion. He has what we call swag, and the man is just, he's confident. He feels that he can beat any man on any given night.
What are you seeing so far, Andre?
I see Carl Froch getting a little bit more comfortable. He's starting to settle in a little bit. This fight is not a fight of skill. It's a fight of wills.
No punching, no punching.
And the distance still favors Carl Froch. Glenn Johnson has never really fought off his chest in this fight, except for a few moments, and that's important for him at some point to do.
I see Froch making some adjustments. Glenn Johnson is right in front of him, but he's not having the success. See, right there, he went up under that jab and he countered. That's where you want to be. You want to pitch shot right there in front of Glenn Johnson.
Johnson slow with the left hook. Froch's reflexes, feline. Now Froch punches and bunches as he steps away, takes his time, throws the big right hook block, but he stays busy.
Glenn Johnson's not cutting the ring off. He's following Froch.
Glenn Johnson in the last 2 rounds looking a hair slow. Now don't forget, coming up July 9th, Showtime Championship Boxing has Brandon Rios defending his WBA lightweight belt against Urbano Antion. And you really like this fight coming up?
I think it's going to be terrific. Antion in the fight of the year against Roberto Soto last year. Brandon Rios, he fought Miguel Acosta on our air. It was tremendous. That should be a war. And we're going to also see the highlights of Lucien Boute's fight against Jean-Paul Mendy.
Start pressing now. You have to be busy with this, man. You cannot box single shots, do nothing, all right? Listen to me, Rack, how you feel? Oh, let's be busy with it. Anything there shorter. Anything there shorter. Stop.
We begin the 5th round. Glenn Johnson taking 2 deep breaths getting off the stool, slowly. And Cuellar, his trainer, saying you got to get busy. You're not going to win a decision against Carl Froch. Ooh, nice right hand by Froch that gets through.
And that came after a counter punch. It came off a counter punch. Right now, Carl is comfortable right in front of Glenn Johnson. He's barely making him miss, and he's making him pay.
Total punches, you see that Froch's throwing a little bit more than Glenn Johnson, and I'll tell you, Glenn Johnson is a volume puncher, so he wants to have more punches thrown than Carl Froch.
Glenn Johnson trying to get closer, using the jab. Now lands a right hand to the body. Now tries to chop him up, and Carl Froch gets away.
There's the left to the body by Johnson. We haven't seen any double left hooks yet, and he needs that.
We just saw a nice uppercut that you mentioned, that the keys to victory for Froch. He caught Glenn Johnson with it. The thing that's different now, and the reason why Johnson is not having that much success earlier, is he's having to reset. Carl Froch is moving just a little bit to throw him off and make him reset rather than landing and having leverage.
Absolutely, and I think Glenn Johnson, to a degree, is starting to slow down a little bit. I think the last round he took a round off. He's trying to pick it up, but he's not the Glenn Johnson that we saw in the first 2 or 3 rounds.
And he came in very light for this fight, 166 and a half. He was dry to start, as you mentioned, Andre. Now, the quick hands of Carl Froch.
This is an important fight for Carl Froch. It's being sent back to England on Sky TV. It's the first time he has been seen on that kind of platform in Britain. He feels this needs to be a signature fight for him.
And it's ridiculous that his home country hadn't really gotten behind this kid. He is a wonderful champion.
I agree.
Oh, big right hand by Froch. Uppercut. Carl Froch, another right hand. England, you got a guy here.
You gotta
pay attention.
You gotta love Froch, man. Woo. I mean, the guy got a heart that's big as, all, and he's there. Like I said, he's not running, and that's how you beat Glenn Johnson.
Carl Froch also with some very choice words during our meeting, folks. For Andre Ward, the man sitting next to us. We'll talk about that in the next round.
Carl Froch landing some of his biggest punches of the fight so far. That is a beautiful right hand. And it shows also how resilient Glenn Johnson is. And then he tries the uppercut. And we take another look at that right hand over the kind of awkward and lower left of Glenn Johnson. And that was a big power punch for Carl Froch.
And with the Super 6 headed toward its championship final, we remind you there's still time to fill out your own Super 6 bracket at sports.show.com. Boxing, pick the tournament champion and enter the sweepstakes for a chance to win a trip for 4 to the tournament final. Yesterday, when we were in our meeting talking to Carl Froch, Andre Ward, the champion, was not present, although he's present with us right now. Froch saying that an opportunity to fight Andre Ward would be his kind of fight because, Andre, you'd have to come to him, as Glenn Johnson is right now. Your response?
I think Carl Froch just needs to focus on what he's doing tonight and get this W. And if he's able to hold his end of the bargain, he's going to get what he's been asking for.
All right. Spoken like a true champion. Johnson and Froch. Johnson in the Miami Heat, white, red, and gold. Froch in black, the champion. This is for the super middleweight WBC world title, the champion, Carl Froch from Nottingham, England.
To me, there's 2 salient points so far about this fight. One, Carl Froch has never had to stand with Glenn Johnson fighting right off his chest. And 2, Froch has thrown more punches than Johnson. If those 2 things continue to happen, it'll be very tough for Johnson to win this fight.
And Carl Froch has seemed like he's found a home for that 1-2.
Yep.
And another thing, look at Johnson's feet. He's walking. He's not galloping, and it takes him longer to close the gap. He needs to start moving rather than just walking in.
And our points are buttressed by the unofficial press row scoring. They all have Froch winning this fight.
Froch using his jab. He's been the matador from the very beginning. The uppercut has been effective, as well as the jab for Carl Froch. He's been able to land the right hand when Johnson tries to get on his chest. There's a left hook, backs up Johnson. Glenn Johnson very flat-footed in the ring, folks. You don't see him on the balls of his feet. Three-punch combination for Froch. Steps back.
You know, we keep thinking Glenn Johnson may get one of those right hands in, but the problem is he's reaching with that punch from pretty far out. Well, you see the amount of power punches and the fact that Froch has the edge, and we know he's winning the battle as a jab. Not so good for Glenn Johnson.
Froch backs up Johnson with a right cross.
And Froch is relaxed in there, man. He see it all coming. You can see this is the slickness that I was telling you about. It's the deceptiveness. He's relaxed. His defense is working, and he's giving these little subtle movements that keep.
Oh, big right hand by Johnson, though. Carl Froch, though, walks right through it as he backs up. Now with a smirky smile on his face, the Englishman.
Does he have bravado or what? I mean, honestly.
He says he may want to be an actor when his career is over. I hope Guy Ritchie is watching. He'd make a perfect thug in one of his movies.
Hey, Rachel says, I didn't like that right hand he got hit with, though.
Listen, you've got to beat him to it inside, all right? You let him walk in and hit you around the body. Relax, put your legs out, all right? Listen to me, listen to me. All right? That's halfway, all right? He's an old man, he's leaving his legs behind you. Relax, breathe. Sharp 1-2, 1-2.
Glenn Johnson did have a moment in that round, and that moment came courtesy of this right hand. That's the overhand right we talked about. It wasn't landed perfectly, but it was a good punch. But Froch came back with a great left hook and some good combinations.
You're doing good work, but you know what? Remember, it's not good enough. You gotta stop him. Glenn is 7, is getting away. We have to stop this guy. You gotta start hurting him. When you get him in the corner, you have to stop him.
And Andre Ward, Glenn Johnson looks tired on the stool.
This is the point we were all talking about before the fight. Is the weight issue going to have an effect on Glenn Johnson? You can make the weight, but can you be effective? I think that's what we're seeing now. It's similar to a fighter going to the gym and being flat. You start out strong, but then you realize I just don't have it today, and that may be what Glenn Johnson is feeling right now.
And our Jim Gray is standing by with Andre Ward's trainer, the master